Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. We get to do it in the studio. Joe, I told you the decibel level was going to go up when we were live. It's Jeff DiVeronica and Steve Bradley, as you can tell from our names there. Good spelling there, Joe, our new producer. Thank you first, Steve Bradley, for coming in studio with us here. We've been talking about 18 months of getting in studio for the Connors and Ferris High School Sports Show, and we found a new home right here thanks to Classy Wolf Media Productions and our guy, Joe Brat. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Steve. Welcome back, Steve. Good to have you.
Oh, great to be here, Jeff. And here we go. 3 weeks into the Section 5 high school football season. Plenty to talk about. Jam-packed show, loaded with guests, and let's get to it.
Let's get to it, but let's first, a little bit of business. I told you about this. Hey, look, this is my 19th straight year talking Section 5 sports on some sort of media platform. I used to be on the radio for the past 18 years. A little bit of Zoom mixed in. But one good thing about the pandemic, I will say this, is everyone became so beholden to video that part of me said we have to have a video show. I will tell you that WHGK gave me a little nudge to explore this, and I'm so happy we got connected with Joe and Classy Wolf Media Productions. But I'm excited for the new format. I'm excited to bring coaches and kids live in front of your steaming eyes here on whatever device you're watching. And it couldn't happen without our sponsors. It starts with Connors and Ferris, Greg Connors, Tom Ferris, their whole team there. Thank you so much for sticking with us in the new format here. I think it's going to be great for our sponsors. Salvatore's is back. Specialties is back. Bob Johnson is back. G&G Fitness Equipment is back. The Pittsford Pub is back. American Custom Exteriors and Interiors, back. Get your Zweigels, Steve Bradley. It's a great day to grill out. They're back. On the Spot Cleaners is back. TSE is back. New sponsors, McQuaid Jesuit. Next Level. They're coming back after a few years off. So excited. You can find all of our sponsors at ConnorsandFerrisShow.com. All of our past shows will be linked there. And, of course, you can always find them live and on demand on YouTube, Steve Bradley. Now, why don't we first tell our folks what's on today's show before we go to our whip around about Section 5 football.
Sounds like a plan.
Sounds
like a plan. We'll start off with our Pittsford Pub game of the week. We've got
dynamite drop in, Monty.
Oh,
it's good.
Come on, man. Let's go. We've got Brighton and Webster Thomas, and hats off to us. We were prepping all week, and we kind of circled some games, and we said whoever wins that game is going to be our lead guest. And so we've got Todd Jackson and Stephen Lian from Brighton coming on in a few minutes.
Big win for the Bruins. Don't call them the Barons. 21-14. Last minute touchdown. 40 seconds left. Brennan Klaskins into the end zone after an impressive 2-minute drill drive. I'll have to talk to Coach Lian about that. That was great. They were down 7-0 going to the fourth. We're going to break that down. It's our Pittsford Pub Game of the Week. Thanks to the Pittsford Pub for being our Game of the Week sponsor for the whole school year this time. Great meals, great atmosphere at the Pittsford Pub. Steve, some great games, though, last night, and a couple of steamrolls.
Yeah. We're going to talk about the other guests, though, too?
Oh, yeah, let's do that.
Let's do that. We've got our Athletes of the Week, our award segment 2.
Yep.
Segment 3, something that you and I were both looking forward to, and we were talking about the show over the summer. A legendary coach in Section 5, retired. Bernie Gardner, 112 seasons in a row, coaching for 39 years at Honeoye Falls, Lima. Bernie, a great guy, and one of the things that I like most about dealing with Bernie over the years is he coached sports that weren't always in the limelight: cross-country, Nordic skiing, track and field. And sometimes when those sports aren't highlighted as frequently as people like, they complain about it. Bernie never complained about what he didn't get. He always appreciated what he did get, and he was all about doing what he could to get the stories of those athletes and those teams out there. And actually saw Bernie last night at the HFL game. It was great to catch up with him, and glad to have him on the show. And we have a little surprise too. We
surprised him with a guest, and you'll see more and hear more from her, Elizabeth Dodzweit, in just a little bit. Bernie's kind of like the Mr. Holland's Opus of cross country and Nordic. It's amazing. He's fantastic. And then we're going to finish off with some soccer. Soccer Jeff has to get some soccer on the first show. The Penfield Patriots, big win yesterday, 3-2, and they're 7-1. And Class AA only has 6 teams, but they've had some close results. This was a Hilton team that beat 3-2 yesterday that I think is only 2-5, and they gave Penfield all they could handle. So it's certainly, even though Penfield's ahead of the pack here, I think Fairport's the only other team in AA with a winning record. Doesn't mean that it's a walkthrough for them to get to a Section 5 title. So we'll talk with Libbie, Tobin, and Kacie Salva, who had the winning goal.
The winning salvo.
The winning salvo from Salva. So without any further ado, Steve, let's so that's what we have planned. We're not going to end at 11 a.m. We don't have to do that. It's not an hour-long show. We can go a little farther if we want, and which is great, and we're going to do that. But Steve, let's talk about some Section 5 football last night. Impressive moments from McQuaid and Aquinas and what they did last night, huh?
Absolutely. You looked at the game with McQuaid and Victor, rematch of the Section 5 Class AA Championship, which was a great game in May.
17-14. This was much different.
This was. And, the thing where Bobby Bates has this McQuaid program now, they're not just, they reload every year. This is 29-6 for McQuaid, 3-0. Quarterback John Mahar, Devo 19-25, great accuracy, 314 yards, 4 touchdowns, and Paris Smiley, receiver, 7 catches for 200 yards. So,
are we sure that's not Joe Cairns? Because he looks a lot like Joe Cairns, and what a tremendous job. And Bobby Bates, the quotes he gives, it sounds like he's a college coach, the way he talks about these guys and the attention to detail and their practice habits. Really impressive getting that young man up and running so well to start the year, quarterback. And Aquinas, again, this the private schools against the public. We'll talk about that at some point this year, I promise. Aquinas handed it to Pittsford last night.
Yeah, 42-21. Will Benjamin, a name we've heard quite a bit over the years, 192 yards on the ground, 3 touchdowns. Terrell Richards made the most of his opportunities as a receiver. He had 4 catches, 168 yards, 3 touchdowns. And before anybody asks, we've already got it circled. October 15th, 7 o'clock, Aquinas at McQuaid. Regular season finale. That could be the biggest game in Section 5 football this year.
2-time defending champs from Aquinas, from McQuaid, I beg your pardon. But it's funny I said that because I was going here. Aquinas was the dominant private school for a long time.
They were, and this goes back to the season opener 2 years ago, Frontier Field, when McQuaid ended that 15-game streak, I believe, against Aquinas, and the tide has turned since then. That, to me, because McQuaid had that great class of 2019 with Hunter Walsh and Andrew Passero, Andrew Passero was the 2019 season.
Tomato, close enough.
But that McQuaid had a great senior class, graduated in 2019. Yeah. Aquinas had a ton of people coming back. McQuaid won that game at Frontier Field, and it's been, really, the Knights have been in charge since then.
Absolutely. Let's go. The next game was, how about Fairport getting its first win? Late field goal by Tyler Pucci. 24-21. Was that at Hilton? That's a long drive either way for one of those teams.
I'm not sure where the game was, but...
it was in Hilton.
What?
I actually was approached to call that game, and I said, I have to prepare for my high school sports show. I can't go call that game. And I was dreading the Hilton folks, the long drive out to Hilton. Just kidding.
And I did see the highlights, too. It looked like great atmosphere there, a little like fog on the field beforehand. But 39-yard field goal, that's not a chip shot with 1:30 left. Hilton 0-3. Fairport, a big win for the Raiders in that AA mix where I think, we've mentioned it, Aquinas and McQuaid right now feel like they're leading the pack there.
Has there been a more impressive team than the Canandaigua Braves this fall, Steve? 3-0. They did ground and pound the first couple weeks. And last night, unleash quarterback Brian Boldrin. What a start they had to that game. I think it was 35-0 at half at Grace Athena.
Jeff Welch has them going on. In the spring, right, we kind of, Canandaigua, they were the defending champs. They flew under the radar. Not happening. Everybody's on the Braves. I know that they're state ranked. And Brian Boldrin's numbers, Jeff, he only threw 10 passes, 6 completions, 310 yards, 4 touchdowns. And just for good measure on defense, he has a 48-yard interception return. So
he had a Jameis Winston-like game. Very efficient, right? And by the way, 41-7. I'm not sure if I mentioned the score of that game.
And Athena came in 2-0. So the Braves are definitely setting the tone in Class A1.
We'll tell you more about the other matchup of 2-0s last night, Brighton and Webster, and our Pittsburgh Pub Game of the Week in just a second with our guests coming on our specialties Skype hotline. Wayne with a tight one last night, 34-27 over the combined team of Dansville Waco. The Eagles go to 3-0, Steve.
Yes, they do, and a good game. Mason Blankenberg, the quarterback, had 2 touchdown passes. Dylan Vance, the running back, 167 yards on the ground, 2 touchdowns. And Wayne sets up a big matchup, home game on Friday night. They will get the unbeaten HFL Cougars. HFL with a 27-0 win over Wilson. Zach Meacham, 16 carries, 200 yards, 2 touchdowns for HFL.
Fantastic. Let's go now. If we can do that, Joe, let's dial it up, something we could never do. Let's go to our Specialties Skype hotline. Remember, Specialties, great company down in Geneseo, screen printing, those stadium wraps you see on the front fences, whether it be a baseball stadium, a tennis court. They do those too. Check them out online. It's specialties1.com. That's TEES, like the golf tee, and then number 1.com. All right, that looks like Stephen Lian. He looks like he's 18 years old. Look at this guy. That's what a last-second win will do. That's the coach of the Brighton Bruins, Steve Lian, joining us now on the Specialties Hotline. Hi, Coach. Congratulations on a great win last night, a dramatic win. And Steve, I'm watching last night in my living room on Varsity Media, their feed, and I swear I thought the sound was piped in. The crowd was so electric. Steve Lian, how great was that crowd last night?
It was amazing. It was just so good to be back in front of our student section. It's been a really, really long time, and it was just awesome to share that victory with them.
Steven, and just the way that you won the game, too. You went into the fourth quarter losing, and then it was back and forth, and then you get the winning touchdown from Brendan Klaskins with 40 seconds left. Your team is 3-0. What does that say about your team and their ability to respond in the big moments like they did last night?
They're a resilient group. We're really lucky that we have, 5 of our seniors have been starters on varsity since they were sophomores. Taj Jackson has been a starter for us since he was a freshman. So we have a lot of guys with a lot of experience. So, they're a resilient group. They've been through a lot of things. So I'm just so proud of their gritty effort last night.
And Steve, it looks like you're in the film room now. Looking ahead, you have a 3-0 Webster Schrader team on Friday. How long do you enjoy last night before you start thinking about the Warriors?
We enjoyed it for about an hour or two, and then the coaching staff, we were up. We all went home, but we were texting late at night, taking a peek at Webster. I mean, it doesn't get any easier. We get to enjoy this one, but then it's on to a 3-0 team. So, just trying to get ready right now.
Steve, let me ask you about the flow of this game, because you had a touchdown called back that would have tied it up, and then they go ahead, and you scored 21 points in the fourth quarter. Big interception, kind of swung some momentum for you. Brendan Klaskins got some really tough yards for you. And let's talk about Taj, too. We're trying to get connected with Taj Jackson. Let's talk about those two guys and the leaders. And then at some point, we're going to play some, I think we're going to try to play some footage. And I got to find out who number 77 was, because his celebration after the winning touchdown, who is that big fella? He was fantastic, that lineman.
Yeah, that's Alex Heininger. He's our senior offensive lineman who's from Central Michigan.
But those guys, tell us about the leadership of Brendan at quarterback.
It's tremendous. I mean, he is a kid that unparalleled work ethic. Anybody who walks these halls knows the kind of kid he is. We kind of joke about him being kind of Captain America-like because he's just so physically gifted, but is such a great kid. Always puts his teammates first, and never in doubt. He's the kind of guy that just says, "Put the team on my shoulders, and I'll take care of it."
Steve, I follow you on social media, and one thing that I've really been impressed with is you have watched this program grow and emerge. You talk about Team 87 and the pack mentality. Is that go from like the strength of the pack is the wolf and the strength of the wolf is the pack, or where does that come from?
Yeah, when I took over, I guess it's been 10 years now, we kind of tried to bring some kind of identity. Brighton had football-wise been on hard times for a long time, and we wanted to bring something to kind of bring us all together, help the kids realize that no one has to do anything on their own. So absolutely, the law of the jungle is something that we talk about a lot. We talk about, a perfect example, you got Alex Heininger, Brendan Klaskins, and Todd Jackson, who we kind of call, the big three, and they're kind of the big wolves of the team, but, they don't do anything alone. Everyone has a role. Whether you're a starter, whether you're a scout team guy, everyone's valued and everyone's important, and that's kind of how we preach it, and that's kind of how we live every day.
Let's talk about the Webster Thomas team a little bit. What concerned you coming in? I know you and I talked a little bit during the week about their quarterback, Eli Adams. Is that right? No. Yeah, he's great, right?
He's incredible. I mean, we've played him. I mean, now it's 3 years now. We've played him 3 times, and he just keeps getting better. He lived up to it and more. There were throws he made, the pressures. We just couldn't get home to him. He would scramble. I mean, it's just an unbelievable.
I think there was a Flutie-like scramble on the set up their first touchdown, a long pass over the middle, and he scrambled, running to his left, stops on a dime and fires it down the field. And then the touchdown, they answered your touchdown with that back of the end zone touchdown, which I would like to have seen a replay of that. I don't know about you, Coach Lian,
Yeah.
but I don't know if he got all the feet down, but they said the puppies were in, so that ties it up. And you guys had gone ahead, and they come back and tie it up. And what did you say to your guys before the game-winning drive? Because you had some time to work, and you guys took it right down to 40 seconds. But when you looked into their eyes in the huddle, what did you see from those guys before that last drive?
We were confident. We didn't start the game well. The first half, I think there was just so many combination things. Our top receiver and our free safety, Ellis Einbinder, was out for the game. And we knew that was going to be an issue for us with such a great passing team, and playing in front of a home crowd for the first time. It was a lot for our kids, and so I think the first half we didn't come out and play as well as we wanted to. At halftime, we settled the guys down, and I don't think there was anybody on our team that didn't feel like second half we were going to come out and be okay, even when it was back and forth. When we knew we could get the ball back, I think everyone felt pretty comfortable that we were going to be able to kind of bash our way down there.
Steve, Class A this year divided into two brackets. There's the A2 bracket, which you are in, and the A1 bracket. So you have a 7-game regular season and then sectionals, and only one team will emerge from this to go on to play in the state tournament. If my research is correct, Brighton is still looking for Section 5 football title number 1. And as a guy who's spent 10 years building that program, what's the focus for your team? Because you can't, you got to get better every day, I would think, but that's also something that's probably got to be a goal at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, it is. It certainly is, but I think it is for every team. We learned some lessons in 2016. We had a really good team that it was the first Brighton team that even went to the sectional finals. And I think we learned a lot of lessons from that year. And this group, I really think the COVID experience has kind of shaped our mentality a little bit. And instead of really thinking about sectional titles, things like that, this group really does take one day at a time. We had our last game of the season in the spring canceled due to COVID. So we've been there where suddenly all of a sudden the day before a game, the game gets taken away. So these guys, these seniors especially, really just take, whether it's just even today when we're coming to do a recovery workout, they really treasure one day at a time. And I know that sounds cliche, but that is how they live it.
Now you got Webster Schrader coming up on Friday night. I think this is at their place. They're unbeaten, so you hang an L on one Webster team, and now you're going to try to do it on another one. I know it's early, and I know you're not going to tell me too much because you're a good coach. You're not like Belichick.
But he's also been in the media before. We've seen him break down games, and he does a good job when he does the varsity media jobs. What
concerns you about the Warriors?
Honestly, it's a little bit of a similar recipe. They throw the ball a lot. They've got some dynamic playmakers. They've been getting it done. They've been putting up big yards every game. We've got to fix that a little bit. We gave up a lot more yards than we wanted to this week. We've got to take a good long look at film and kind of help our guys get put in the right position. So we've got a tall task. This is a very good football team that we've got to go play.
Steve, the process, though, in building a program, do you take any time to reflect and say where we started and this is where we are? Because just like Jeff mentioned, that atmosphere last night was just electric. And, I love the tradition of Section 5 football, but when a program emerges and does things that it hasn't done before and makes a great story, and you're part of that story, that's awesome. I mean, do you ever think about that, or are you just, as Belichick would say, on to Webster Schrader?
No, I mean, we do. We think about it, but quite honestly, it's a credit to our kids. Our players, as good as you see them on the field, I'm not kidding you. They're just wonderful people. I love them all like sons. I have a son. My oldest son is a freshman on the JV team, and I'm just so thankful he gets to look up to seniors like Taj. In fact, he wears Taj's number because he looks up to him so much. And that's a big reason the student section's there, because as these kids walk the halls, they're great kids. They're well-respected members of the student community. It's not just about football. You know, if it was, I don't know that we get that response, but it's about the people that our players are, and that's just really what I'm just so proud to be a part of.
Well, we're having trouble getting connected with Taj. This is live video show. So we're going to have to, he says this is the Skype hotline, Skype Specialties hotline. He says his camera's on, but he can't get his camera to turn on here. So we'll work on that for week number 2 and cross our fingers that we're going to be good to go with Penfield. So he was terrific last night. I'm glad he showed up. More important to show up on Friday night than Saturday morning for the TV show, the YouTube show. Right, Coach?
Yeah, you know, anytime Tosh shows up and walks through the door, it's a good day.
He had some big runs last night, very elusive. Coach Lian, thanks for being on our program. We appreciate it. The first guest in our new all-video format. Have yourself a great weekend.
Thank you so much for having me on.
All right, we will take our first break, Steve Bradley. As we do that, I want to say thanks for being here. We worked for a long time together at the Democrat and Chronicle, and I needed more of a compass for this show last year, and you gave it to me. And I'm glad that the pandemic brought us together, and I'm glad we're going to keep doing this as we move forward.
Thank you, brother. I love it. It's a lot of fun, and you know, we love good stories, sharing good stories, and this is a great way to do it, and I'm glad to be here, so thank you.
All right, we'll head to our first break. You are watching the Connors and Ferris show, high school sports show, on YouTube Live, the Rock Sports Now channel. We're back on the Connors and Ferris High School Sports Show. We're brought to you by me and Steve Bradley. I'm Jeff DiVeronica, he's Steve Bradley. You saw us a lot in the Democratic Chronicle for years and years, and we moved on. But we still love talking about high school sports, and that's what we're gonna do every Saturday at 10 a.m. Thanks for watching right here on Rock Sports Now. We always hand out during our second segment some awards, and let's start with our. Now let's wait on the coach. The G&G Fitness Coach of the Week G&G Fitness Equipment Coach of the Week is given to a coach that it's not just about wins and losses, Steve. We know it's about developing young people, and the coach we're going to give this award to. We'll get back to that.
Okay, you sure you want to do it that way?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And, to nominate a coach, you can hit us up on Twitter. I'm RockDevo, ROCDEVO. You are.
S. Bradley Rock.
Did you forget? Sorry.
I don't
Didn't mean to throw
I
you.
don't tweet myself very often.
And your favorite color is? No.
Orange.
Orange. Attaboy. All right. Mine too, Steve. So we'll do our Coach of the Week usually during this segment. We're going to hold off on it just for today at least. Our Athletes of the Week are brought to you by Bob Johnson. The Bob Johnson Auto Group is taking over Rochester. Basically, any kind of vehicle you want, Steve, you can get it from a Bob Johnson
Like my Chevy
property.
Trailblazer that we got this summer?
You got a whole bunch of them out in your parking lot in your driveway, don't you?
But I've got the Chevy Trailblazer from Bob Johnson.
And I've got the Chevy Equinox from Bob Johnson.
There we go.
So, and prior to any of this stuff. So, all right, our Boys Athlete of the Week is some Gates Chi football. Demarion Mewborn, what a Thursday night he had. He's a senior running back. He rambled for 300 yards on the nose, 35 carries, so Coach Benham kept him pretty busy. He scored on touchdown runs of 19, 5, 2, and just to show he wasn't tired, 42 yards. The Spartans routed Penfield 24-6. He also scored 4 times in week 2 in a win over Schrader.
No, it was not a win over Schrader. It was a 35-25 loss.
I beg your pardon.
As we know, Schrader is undefeated and will play Brighton next week.
Thank you for the edit, my former editor. But Gates Shalley's back, man. They've been kind of down. I mean, again, you go back in a way back machine. Benham had Gates Shalley was a perennial power there in the 90s.
But he is, and it was, and nobody works harder than Jason in putting a program on the field and connecting with kids, and it's good to see. And for some teams, Jeff, you got to throw the last 18 months out because COVID affected every team, every program differently. So it's not like you can measure that.
And I don't know if you've been reading this. I this morning in reading and last night reading, I've seen a lot of interceptions returned for touchdowns, a lot of turnovers, and we'll talk about that as the season goes on about the work that they've needed to put in to try to clean this stuff up, because I do think the pandemic is impacted football. Right,
and some teams have been able to get together. I mean, the city schools last year, I did a game with Wilson last night. Coach Greg Mortier in our prep work told us, they didn't have any contact with their players in person most of the school year until the season started. So the playing field's different for everybody, and now even with the no scrimmages this fall. So as much as last night felt like normal and this weekend felt like normal with the weather and the crowd and the atmosphere, it's still a process. They're still getting back there. And
how about the Girls Athlete of the Week, brought to you by Bob Johnson Chevy?
Well,
Bob Johnson Auto.
This young lady had a great season this week. It's Abigail Murata, sophomore at Marion High School. 10 goals this week, Jeff. She had 3 in goals and 1 assist in 2 wins earlier this week over at Red Creek and North Rose Wolcott. Last night was homecoming for the Black Knights. Abby had 4 goals in a 5-0 win over Waterloo. So that gives her 16 goals on the season. And I didn't check this morning, but she went into last night leading Section 5 in goals, and I don't think anybody's passed her in the last 18 hours.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's going to have more than the 4 spots she threw up last night.
Interesting note, she is a sister of Chloe DeLizer, who is the all-time leading goal scorer in high school girls soccer history.
And I also noticed she's part of the Western New York Flash Club team, which Chloe actually ended up being part of too. So, all right, thanks to Bob Johnson Auto for sponsoring our Athletes of the Week. You'll hear about them every week right here on Rock Sports Now, our YouTube channel. We'll take our second break, come back, and you're going to hear from Bernie Gardner, the HFL coaching legend, and he pulls the curtain back quite a bit here, Steve, along with Amber Elizabeth Dodzweit on some of the coaching secrets of Bernie Gardner. You're watching the Connors and Ferris High School Sports Show on Rock Sports Now, YouTube Live.
In these challenging times, our dedicated team at American Custom continues to provide top-quality installations to every customer. With guidelines and restrictions changing daily, we apply attention to every detail. You can trust our team to make sure the job is done right.
Started on the spot cleaners in 2001. I saw that my kids were crawling on the carpets and I thought, what is in these carpets? Later that year in the fall, I started to notice my daughter's allergies peak. After some allergy testing, we realized there'd be a benefit to having our ducts cleaned. As a business owner, we took the certification necessary, performed the service in our home, and immediately saw results and thought this is going to be fantastic for our business and our customers. The duct cleaning process uses a HEPA filtration vacuum that will draw air through the ductwork. We have truck-mounted air compressors that blow whips and rods through the ductwork to move and dislodge the debris. We apply an antimicrobial treatment for odor and bacteria when we're completed. We protect your furnace with zone bags so that way no debris will fall over the furnace heat exchangers. The benefits of air duct cleaning is pretty simple. Your indoor air quality traps a lot of dust and allergens. Once we're done with the cleaning, you have a cleaner, fresher home.
Why do you exercise? To look better? To feel better? To drop a few pounds? To train for an event? To defy age? Or to keep your ability to say yes to the things you love to do? Whatever motivates you, G&G Fitness Equipment is here to get you there. Treadmills, ellipticals, rowers, bikes, home gyms, and accessories. We'll pair you with the right equipment, teach you how to use it, and be there every step of your fitness journey. G&G Fitness. Your goal is our goal.
Baby, sweet baby, oh baby,
Welcome back to the Cons and Ferris High School Sports Show. Jeff DiVeronica and Steve Bradley in our brand new format. Stephen, we're welcoming on now a legend.
We are.
We knew when we heard that this guy retired that he was going to be on the debut show of this fall. Burn, baby, burn. Oh. Let's bring on Bernie Gardner, the former Honey I Falls Lima track and cross country coach, and just an institution.
Nordic skiing, too.
Nordic skiing. How can I forget that? Bernie, joining us now from the great beyond. I expect no less than to see you in front of out in nature. Bernie Gardner, welcome to our specialties hotline. How are you, sir?
Great to see you, Jeff.
You too, Bernie. So, Steve, give us a quick rundown of the numbers because it's pretty impressive.
Really, you could go through a million numbers about Bernie. I'm going to go through two. 112, that's the number of consecutive seasons he coached. That's 3 sports a year for 39 years. And he's won more titles than I can count, probably than he can count. But 112 consecutive seasons, 39 years. Congratulations, Bernie. I hope you're enjoying your first fall, doing what you want to do.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. Yeah, it's crazy when you look at the statistics, but, you just put one foot in front of the other and one season after the other, and I can't believe that I'm not doing anything right now, but I just got back from Colorado after hiking and mountain biking out there, and I'm involved with a really cool pickleball group out of Fishers, kind of organized by the great Keith Shields, former Victor Hall of Fame swim coach. So I'm meeting a lot of new people and still outside being active.
We're going to break it down some of the other numbers about the championships, but before we do that, because I wanted to make this kind of a this is your life interview, Bernie, one of a kind, eyebrow goes up. Let's bring on one of your most famous runners of all time, joining us now from Maine. Her name is Amber Dodzweit. And Bernie, can you see Amber? This is new to us.
But Amber, as we're waiting to bring Bernie back, can you just talk about what it was like to run for him and the influence he had on your life?
I'm back.
Of course, yeah. So I said this to my husband actually before I even joined the call. I was like, I wouldn't be me without Bernie, and that sounds like such a weird cliche thing to say, but truly everything that I use professionally in my work life, I learned from the one and only Bernie Gardner. I really did. And I think about it all the time, just about every example that he used of how to complete a race in a smart and effective way. It's a total metaphor for your entire life if you allow it to sink in. And I can just remember he would just want to shake it. He was like, "Don't you get it?" And I was like, "I got it. It sunk in. I still remember all of it."
So we're talking what, mid-90s, late 90s? My memory's shot.
Come on now, Jeff. I graduated in 2001, so yeah. Yep, you're pretty spot on.
Oh, you're even younger than I thought. Okay. Bernie, what do you remember about Amber and that crew? I mean, this was really when you were taking hold, not just at the local level, but really branching out into developing future state champions.
Well, Amber, I love you. You're the best. Like Amber is full on, full gas, wired and wild and crazy in a good way. And I love her. Like right this minute, like I could just hug her and kind of choke her at the same time.
I think Pink wrote a song about that. I think Pink has a song like that. I want to punch you in the face, but I love you. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got to be a Western. But yeah.
Let me ask you this though about being an old. He was an old school coach, right? He probably coached you hard, and now Amber. Sometimes parents don't like that. Is that okay to coach a young kid hard the way they did in the late 90s? Is that still okay?
You know, I don't have kids probably because if I had them and you told me that I couldn't, tell them if you're not first, you're last, then there's a reason for that, and I think that it's 100% needed. If you're going to raise resilient adults, you have to be tough on kids at times. And there were multiple times where, I didn't want to do something or, people don't realize this, but I had an immense fear of competing for the longest time because I believed that if I wasn't perfect and if I didn't win, that it wasn't good enough. But it was that driving force that was like, I don't want to disappoint the man that's spending all this time and teaching me everything that he knows. But a lot of times I would go up to that starting line and I was like, I don't want to be here. I'm scared to death. And you have to have that pressure and you have to look down that line knowing that there's hundreds of people going for the same small opening. And if you are not one of the first to get there, you're not going to make it. And I think that is essential in life in realizing, it's going to be tough. But you know what? If you don't go through anything tough, it's something that I tell my own clients all the time. I'm like, if you don't go through anything tough, how do you expect to evolve and grow? You realize that muscle has to tear to build, right? So if you don't tear, how do you build? And people just want this easy way out. And I think that we're going to find out way later on that if we're not hard on our kids, the world's going to look a little more different than it does now.
Amber, that's great stuff. I know as a reporter, whenever we would talk to Bernie, he would give us gold for our stories. Are there Bernie-isms out there? Are there any phrases that he used to say that Bernie-isms that have carried over and carried on in your life?
Oh, my gosh. I was thinking about this today because I was at the gym and I was doing a quick workout. I was running on the treadmill, and running is really the only place and thing that I can do that both allows me to think clearly but doesn't make me feel like I'm trying to figure anything out. It's a total release. And so during the time that we would be racing cross country, first and foremost, I just want to say there are 1,000 things that are going on in the world today pertaining to athletic training that Bernie figured out 20 years ago, more than that. We're talking ice baths were not a thing that were just figured out. We've been doing this since I was 15, 12, you know what I mean? And so now it's starting to catch steam, but we've been doing this the whole time. And so when we would train for cross country and he would lead us through a mental visualization of the actual race course so we could see it before we did it. Number one, if you're not visualizing what you want for your life before you're trying to get there, you're making a big mistake. You need to figure out how you're going to do it, what it's going to look like, what it's going to take. And yeah, is it going to be tough sometimes? Not a question. But what he used to say about hills is you have to use the downhill in order to take advantage of the uphill. And it's, a lot of people, and especially in cross country, look at the downhill and they're like, oh, let's just coast down this thing. This is such a gift. But no, Bernie was like, if there's any point in time during this race course that you are coasting, you've already lost. You need to use the downhill because everyone else is going to coast. Everyone else is just going to say, oh, look, it's a downhill. Thank God we don't have to try as hard. But his advice was you use that downhill because wherever there is a downhill, there's an uphill shortly after. And these are, I could write a book on Bernie metaphors about running that pertain to life. And that's just one that has always stuck out to me. It's like, yeah, sometimes life is going to be awesome, but you can't just coast through it because there's an uphill coming and you got to use it. And remember that where there are uphills, it's only because you are capable of getting up there. And where there's an uphill, guess what's coming after that? A downhill. So he always used to say, don't you dare coast down that downhill. You use it and you'll get up the uphill with that momentum that you've gained because everyone else is just sitting there coasting.
We are talking with Amber Dodzweit, former All-State runner for Honea Falls Lima, who went on to a great career as a fitness model and now a fitness trainer. I'll follow up with that in a second, but when you found out that Bernie was retiring, Amber, what was the reaction like for yourself, and do you keep in touch with people from HFL, from your former teammates?
Yeah, so it wasn't too long ago that we did a reunion of, I think it was the 98, no, it must have been after that. I think it was 98 or 99 state championship cross-country teams. So me, it was Michelle Bloom, Allison, Mackenzie, just the original, foundational HFL girls cross-country team that kind of kicked off that long-running state championship run. We had a reunion just a couple years ago. So we got a chance to connect. We all went back to the old Mendon Ponds home course, and we all ran it together. And anytime you can keep somebody together like that after that many years, it just goes to show you what sort of culture we had. And HFL has always kind of had, I think, in the running program. So yeah, I keep in touch with all of them, and Michelle Bloom and I are still really close friends. We were best friends all through high school, and so we keep in touch. And it's for that to even, for me to be able to say that, I'm just thankful because some of those people, you go through some real stuff, and we're all adults now, which is, I don't know how that happened, but we are.
Well, I want to have you on again sometime, Amber. We can really dive into what you're doing now in body transformation and body awareness for females and what it's okay to look like these days, because I know you're changing kind of how you handle all that, and it's a bit of an enlightening thing, I think, for all women. So love to have you back on sometime, but we're going to turn it back to solo spotlight on Bernie Gardner. So awesome. Amber, thank you so much. Any parting words for this guy?
Bernie, you're a legend. I tell people all the time, and I want to thank you personally, and I hope to see you again in November. I'll be in town. But from the bottom of my heart, I would not have accomplished even close to what I've accomplished in my life so far if it weren't for you. And you have no idea how much I think of you almost daily, every time I have to get up and, do leg drills and get a workout in. But yeah, you've really instilled something irreplaceable in me, and I know so many other people, and we're out in the world doing great things because of you. So you don't have your own kids, but you have so many of us out there working on your behalf, and I love you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Amber. Bernie Gardner, what's it like to hear that from people who you knew as teenagers that were still trying to find their way, and now as they're adults and they're, what is that like to hear?
Well, to be honest with you, don't get me wrong, we killed ourselves to win things and to be the best we could. I mean, that's one of the beauties of these individual sports is trying to be the best you can be on that day, and you can measure that more than maybe a team sport where it's hard to know if you didn't catch a pass, was that your best day? It may have been, but you didn't get the ball. But in running and skiing and track, you can measure day-to-day improvement. And so we were trying to improve every day. We were trying to win things. But the real reward is that. seeing Amber and just hearing those encouraging words for me. And one of the greatest things that I do is getting invited to a wedding. I'm going to be going to like Oklahoma to see Alex Dare. Alex Dare, the great cross-country runner and track star, national two-time champion in steeplechase. He's getting married in the first week of November. So getting to see that, I was just at a birthday party for Allison Snyder, just turned 40, who Amber mentioned. And I saw Michelle Bloom early in the year. So it's being connected with these people and getting a notification that they just had a child or a second child, and I think that has been the ultimate reward for me.
So Bernie, we talked a lot about the championships and the time that you've done it. But one of the things I've appreciated the most, and the last event that I ever covered for the Democrat and Chronicle, you were actually at, it was the state Nordic Ski Championships, is how people in those sports, cross country and skiing in particular, they cheer as much for the kids that are back in the pack or finishing last as the kids crossing first. And the messages that come with that, and where does that spirit and that whole feeling come from? Because I think that whole positive vibe is something that also carries over, and it's something I've seen you do more times than I can count.
Well, my motto is every finish is a victory in itself. So if you can go out there and you can survive these contests, then you're worthy of respect. And I think that happens with everyone, whether you came in first or last. You still had to accomplish the distance. You had to survive the terrain. And so there's a amount of respect, and like everybody got to participate and challenge themselves. And in my sports, they're mostly endurance, so you're like collapsing when you finish. So I think there's a camaraderie and a respect because everybody did the same thing, and it's sort of like we all beat the course. We all survived this thing.
What I love about the sports that you used to coach were you can't cheat the clock. You can't, in basketball, you could be super talented and show up and not practice for 2 weeks and still go out there and still score 25 points, right? Football, you can still catch a pass and run away from everybody. If you don't put the time in cross country and Nordic skiing, you're not going to get the results. And you got the best out of these kids. 108 Section 5 team titles over 36 years. 72 Livingston County and Monroe County team championships, and 30 New York State champions. What did Bernie Gardner do? What buttons did he have to push to get the best out of these kids?
Well, the thing is kind of like what Amber said a minute ago, is that I went to college for a phys ed degree, but I wasn't playing like underwater basket weaving. Like I went to the human performance lab, and I was testing people on what their max VO2 is. Like I understand the science of things. I'm more of a scientist than roll out the ball person. So I understood like what we were trying to accomplish, and then I would go on a quest for additional knowledge. And I was fortunate enough that teammates that I had in college became Olympians, and they're talking to me about plyometrics, in the early 80s when no one even heard about plyometrics for another 10 or 15 years. So I was always on the cusp of whatever was next. And then you find like these kids, like kids want to be great. Kids want to be pushed. Like Amber said, they're fearful. But if you just say like, look, I'm just going to tell you the truth. If you want to be great, here's what you got to do. And I would say, and here's an example of a person. And at that time, it would be Olympians or some of my former teammates in college. But then as things started rolling, I could say, well, here's what Amber Dodzweit did. Here's what Allison Snyder did. Here's what Steve Mangan and Robert Gardner and Alex Dare. And then you just, you start building off of that. But I honestly believe kids want to be challenged. They will work, and they will work hard if you can show them why they're doing it. And I think I was able to do that.
You went to Western State College in Colorado. We know that you recently just returned from a trip to Colorado. Why now? Why step away now? And then I want to talk about what you think, how well are your former teams positioned for success in the young man who succeeded you. But why now? Why hang up the boots now?
Well, two words. One is why, and that's what people are asking right now. Why is he leaving? And I'd rather have that than when. When is he leaving? So I think there's, you don't want to overstay your welcome. I just felt that the program's in a really good place now. All the sports that I coach, I'm being succeeded by really good men and women that are capable of keeping things rolling and also continuing the kind of the culture and traditions that we've had. And, I turned 65 and sadly my mother passed away in 2020 from this COVID. And it just sort of, like one of those things where if I'm ever going to do anything, like, when am I going to do it? And it just sort of all kind of came together that at the end of the spring, I just had a long, evaluation with myself and just really thought it over. And then I went in and saw Brian Donahue, our athletic director, and he was so gracious to me. And then I was like, I walked out and I was surprised myself that I was able to pull the plug on myself.
Give me a little bit about the young man that's succeeding you in cross country here this fall.
Yeah, so Nolan Ho is a former athlete, and he did all 3 sports. So he did cross country running, Nordic skiing, and track and field. He made it states in Nordic skiing. He was excellent, like one of our top 7 in cross country running. And he was like a hurdler, steeplechaser, and he's just a really cerebral guy, really good guy. He graduated from Geneseo College. He's did track with us this spring as an assistant coach, so he knows.
Is he like Bernie Gardner at all? Is he like you at all?
He's not like me. He's tall. He's handsome. He's he's really smart. So no, we're not like at all. So.
Kidding aside, is he an inspirational, motivational, kind of in-your-face kind of guy like you could be, or is he more calculated?
I think he's more calculated. He's got a degree in psychology. He's really kind and caring, and like I think he's very good one-on-one, and he's got grit. So he's not going to be as kind of like in your face or listen, this is how it's done, my way or the highway kind of guy. But I think he's going to be an excellent person to succeed me for cross country running. Then we have a guy named Mark Armbruster who's taken over Nordic skiing. He's assisted me at as a parent assistant. Then last year he was an official assistant. He's got children still in the program, and he's going to really keep things going in that sport.
The Bernie Gardner coaching tree. I mean, Donahue would be an idiot not to tap into that tree, right? So
for sure.
Steve?
Bernie, your chance for the last word here. So many memories over so many years. What stands out for you? Like you kind of joked about, hearing all these nice things and having a rewind of your life. But when you look back, is there one memory that stands above them all?
I mean, there's so many. I had a nephew, Robert Gardner, like he won 3 state championships in Nordic skiing, I think, and his sister Allison. So I was fortunate enough to coach Lauren, my other niece. So I got Brian, my other nephew, who's gone on to be a rock star in the Marines. So I got to coach my own family, not my own sons and daughters, but my niece and nephew. So I think that was special. And then, the first time, like Amber was saying, the very first time that we ever made it to States. This was before Amber was even on the team, but just, finding out that we won. I mean, to this day, I can still remember. Like, really, it was like the, Jim Valvano. I just wanted to run around and find somebody to jump on. And I know
that
Jeff.
Once. I wrote
Jeff,
that.
Yeah. And I still get teased, or I got teased a lot because I would say in my mind I was going do you believe in miracles? And then Jeff is going oh, you must have watched a lot of TV. So my guys killed me, all my teacher friends. But
it was
yeah,
snowing.
So
it was snowing. Yeah.
I knew
was
we
it
were in luck.
Geneseo?
I think it was the Geneseo. Yeah, it was one of my favorites. It was one of the early stories of my career that I still remember. But I look back and I love it. I've always loved your passion and your emotion and the way you get the best out of kids. And obviously all the hard work you put in to help so many kids get where they want to be. So teaching them the life lessons. Bernie, we got to run to our next break, but it has been a pleasure and an honor to get to know you. I don't know if you've taken up golf, but maybe we could play a round of golf sometime.
He's going to get you on the pickleball court. That's what's going to be.
I would love that, actually. I think I'd like that. Bernie Gardner, thanks for being on our show. We appreciate it, and stay well, my friend.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Steve. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you, Bernie. It's been a pleasure.
Before we head to our next break, I want to tell you about one of our great sponsors. They're back again. So excited to be passed along that Bath Fitter is back in the fold. You can call them up at 617-0007. Check out what they do online, bathfitter.com. There's a reason, Steve, I tell you, that they're among the top 5 nationally in volume for the number of jobs they do year in and year out in the Rochester area. It's because they do great work, and it's great word of mouth, and in our town, it's a very small town. So if you're doing bad work, people are going to know. If you're doing good work, people are going to know. And that's what Bath Fitter does. Please give them a shout, 617-0007. Check them out online, bathfitter.com. We'll take our next break. You're watching the Connors and Ferris High School Sports Show right here on Rock Sports Now.
Whether you come here as a 6th grader or a 9th grader, you have to spend your 4, 5, 6 years here and just get involved in so many different things. And then you're going to go out and set fire on the earth. When you get through McQuaid Jesuit, you're not going to fail when you get out in the world.
Tell you about my friends at Bath Fitter. 30 years across the country they've been doing this stuff. 20 plus years in Rochester. You don't have that kind of longevity without treating your customers right, doing great quality work. Please check them out online, bathfitter.com. Call the local office at 617-0007. It's Bath Fitter Rochester. Don't be a DIY diva and try to do it yourself. Don't screw it up. Let the pros do it. Remodel with confidence. Remodel with Bath Fitter. And please tell them you heard about it right here from Jeff DiVeronica on the Connors and Ferris High School Sports Show. We're brought to you by Salva's Pizza.
There are plenty of professional sports teams in Rochester, but there's also a lot of great high school sports action in each town in our area. When's the last time you checked out a high school game? Section 5 sports are about more than just wins and losses. They're about teaching teamwork, dedication, and discipline. So support the kids who play for your school. Get out and watch a high school game today. For more information, including schedules, rosters, and stats, visit section5.org. That's sectionv.org. Brought to you by the Monroe County League and Section 5.
In doing the work you do, if you're hurt, we'll help you through.
Don't be fooled. Video hearings are as critical as appearing in person.
Make sure your rights are protected.
Your employer has trained specialists on their side.
And the judges work for New York State.
The only person on your side
is the attorney at your side.
Connors and Ferris, your workers' comp attorneys.
Get in the game at Rochester Regional Health Total Sports Experience. TSC micro programs are a jumpstart to an active lifestyle. Programs start at age 2, where kids learn the fundamentals of team sports in a fun and friendly environment. Celebrate a birthday or special occasion with the whole team. Our event staff can coordinate a super fun day, from gameplay to party room. Book it today. Adult leagues and tournaments are offered in soccer, lacrosse, and more. 2 Rochester locations. Visit totalsports-experience.com.
There's a path to success full of challenges, rewards, inspiration, and strength. A strength that only the U.S. Army Reserve can give you. The skills and experiences you'll get will give you an advantage in your civilian life. Stay close to home, train to develop your strengths, and get on a path to success. Find out more at goarmy.com/reserve.
For more information, contact Syracuse Army Recruiting Center, 315-449-2830. There's strong. Then there's Army Strong, paid for by the U.S. Army.
Welcome back. We are live once again on the Connors and Ferris High School Sports Show. Jeff DiVeronica and Steve Bradley live in the Classy Wolf Media Production Studios. Hi, Steve.
Hey, Jeff.
It's time now for our final segment of the week, and let's welcome on Penfield girls soccer coach Libbie Tobin and senior defenders, Libbie right there. And we're going to bring on, as long as all the mice are on the right hamster wheel, all the wheels here in our studios, there she is, Kacie Salva, senior captain, one of the senior captains for this squad, along with senior Natalie Giunta and Anna Decker. Ladies, thanks for being on our specialties Skype line. Hi, Coach. How are you?
I'm great, Jeff. How you doing? Thanks
Seven wins out of 8 matches. That's a pretty good start. Kacie, good to see you. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Fantastic. Before we get into the interview, I want to mention that we have a special award to present to the woman here in the center, Libbie Tobin. She is our G&G Fitness Equipment Coach of the Week. Congratulations, Libbie Tobin. 2002, she took over the Penfield program after coaching at the college level. She is a HFL graduate. She is a University of Rochester Athletic Hall of Famer. I'm not sure if that's in both sports or just one, but she was a standout in basketball and soccer. So congratulations on being our G&G Fitness Equipment Coach of the Week, Libbie. My question to you is, why did you choose soccer to be your coach calling and not basketball? Because you have school records at U of R in basketball. What was it about soccer that made you choose that sport?
I love both sports equally, and I did coach basketball a little bit as well, but soccer just melded more with my personality of coaching, and I like being outside as well. So being in the gym is not my ideal place to coach. So, and soccer just really was my first love. So, so that's the route I took. And, but of course, I'm very fortunate to be at Penfield coaching there now. I love the community. I love the players. And it's just really a special place to be able to work for. And I'm very fortunate to be supported so much by my community.
3-time Section 5 champion for Penfield under your tutelage, and always a contender, AA. And Kacie, let me ask you about Coach. Is she a rah-rah, let's go get him kind of coach? Is she tough when she needs to be? Tell me about what Coach, when you, 10 years from now, what are you going to say? Coach Tobin was like this.
I mean, I definitely say she's tough when she needs to be. But she's always there for us. She's always pushing us. And without that support, I don't think we would be where we are today.
So Libbie, 7 wins in 8 matches, a great start to the season. What have been the keys to the success for the Patriots this fall?
We have a lot of talent, a lot of athleticism, great team speed. And we're really solid in all phases of the game, defensively, midfield, and up top. And so we really just, have a lot of speed and athleticism, and we try to, our goal is to really press other teams and to really just wear them down because we have a great bench as well. So we really get high pressure up and just really try to get the game going fast and using our speed. And we just really, the players I have this year are, great athletes, great soccer players, but most importantly, they're great teammates. They work together well. They're dedicated to the team and the goals of the team. Very unselfish team, and I think that's really key for our success so far.
Coming off yesterday's victory 3-2 at home under the lights. Big win for you, Kacie. You scored the winning goal. I think it's your first goal of the year. Off a pass from Natalie Giunta. Describe for us what that looked like, that winning goal.
Well, we actually have 2 Kacies on the team.
Oh, was it not you?
It was not me.
Oh, okay. Well, you are a defender, so who was it? Kacie who? Kacie Garofalo.
Yes, it was Kacie Garofalo. She's our
Garofalo, sorry.
Yeah.
Well, can you describe it for us?
Honestly, there was a lot happening on that goal from behind. It's hard to see what happens, but the energy that comes from every goal we score is very important for the team. And I think after she got that goal, we really started to pick up our speed. We got excited, and that's when things really start to come together.
Delaney Telex with 7 goals on the season to lead you. Emily Fordham with 3 goals, 3 assists. Natalie Junta with 3 and 2. And Alice Marchese, a sophomore, with 2 and 1. Obviously, the best teams you ever coached are usually, Libbie, ones that have balance because it's tough to defend. Is this team like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was one of the highlights, too. Multiple dynamic scores up top. The other person that is Courtney Felton. She just creates so much pressure up top and opportunities for us as well. And all those names you mentioned can score. There's other girls as well that have been on the scoring board. So it's great because I think then there's not a lot of pressure for one person to feel like they have to do it all on their own, which obviously makes everybody else relax. And it shows you as well that they share the ball up top. Sometimes we have to remind them to actually, take the opportunity when you have it and not be so unselfish in the final third. But all those players are just fantastic. And it's just fun to watch them. And, it really is a treat.
You're scoring some goals as of late. You beat Mercy 4-1, Fairport 4-1, RH 5-2. We'll talk more about the Mendon win in overtime earlier this week, 2-1, and some of the sentimental moments of that day. But AA, there's only 6 teams, five others, Libbie, and only one other team right now has a winning record. I think it's Fairport. But was yesterday a good example for your girls that it really doesn't matter the record of any opponent you're going to face? Because I think Hilton was 2-4 coming into the game, and they gave you a pretty good battle.
Yeah. Yeah, all these teams are quality teams, and like you mentioned, Section 5 is very competitive for girls soccer. And this week we talked about staying locked in. The girls came up with that. Actually, our senior captain Eva Elliott came up with that. Locked in, meaning like we gotta remember what is working for us and continue to focus on that. Pressure, playing fast, playing to feet. And that's important because you can't worry about who you're playing. I mean, you worry about who you're playing, but we can't get into, the record's this, they beat that. We have to focus on what we need to do to be successful every game. But Hilton is a very good team. The record doesn't indicate their quality. They're quick up top, and it was a good battle. And Rick does a good job. So we just have to keep working hard and staying focused on what we know we can do well.
So, Kacie, I want to go back to Wednesday, game against Pittsford Mendon. Playing for Paige game. Paige Marino is one of your teammates who's going through quite a bit right now with B-cell lymphoblastic lymphoma. Both the Mendon team and you all came together on a special day that was World Lymphoma Awareness Day. Coach talked about how your team goes beyond off the field and does the right things. What do you remember about Wednesday, and how special of a day was that for you?
Wednesday was super special because I've known Paige for a very long time. I've played soccer with her forever, and I know how much she'd love to be on the field and playing with us. However, she is fighting her own battles right now, which Mendon was super important. That game was really important for us because we were fighting for her specifically. We came together as both teams. However, every game we go out there, we fight for Paige. We win for her. We battle for her on the field because she's facing her own troubles off the field. So we just push for her extra hard every game, and we do what's best.
How about you, Coach Tobin? Have you seen this change some of your teenage girls that you coach in the way that they go about their daily business?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this has had a tremendous effect on the program and the team. When we found out in the spring, it's just been, a lot of, community effort around this. We did a 3v3 tournament this summer, hosted by Craig Demon to raise money. The girls, they're all very close. They all know Paige really well. They all play soccer together, the juniors and the seniors. So they're just really, just there for her and supporting her. And, when she's on the field and with us, it's great. I just love having her around, and we're doing everything we can to support the family.
There is a GoFundMe, folks, you can give. It's almost up to $30,000 $3,000. This morning it was $32,900. Just search for Paige Marino GoFundMe and you'll find it. Steve?
And Kacie, as a teenage girl, you go through a lot. Sometimes, priorities get skewed a little bit. When you see Paige going through this, there's some of the things that normally would bring you down not matter as much, and are you and your teammates able to keep life in perspective that, a bad day is really not a bad day?
Yes, that's definitely one big thing I've learned from this whole experience is that Paige isn't able to do as much as she can. Therefore, when I might be having a bad day or something goes wrong, it always reminds me to keep my head up because things could be different. My life could be different, but I'm still out here. We're all still out here playing the game, doing what we love. So it's just we remember to push through those bad times. And when we think of Paige, we know she's fighting for herself, and we're out here doing what we can to push through.
Well, we want to send along our prayers and our well wishes to Paige and her whole family. And I think I'd like to tweet out the link to that GoFundMe when we share some of our show shares here moving forward when we have people come watch and more about Penfield soccer today. Ladies, we appreciate you being on the air. And we wish you the best of luck moving forward, getting another championship. Kacie, were you on that team in 2019? I won a title?
No.
All right, well, the best of luck to you getting that chip, getting that brick, as they say. Thanks for being on our show, Kacie.
Thank you.
Coach Tobin, good to see you. Congrats again for being our G&G Fitness Equipment Coach of the Week.
All right, thank you so much, Jeff. Take care.
Libbie Tobin and Kacie Salva from Penfield Girls Soccer. You can nominate a coach. We're always looking for nominations, Steve. And it always shocks me that all you have to do is hit us up on Twitter, send us a DM, send us an email if you know our email address. You can find my email address. Or go to the G&G Fitness Equipment site. It's livefit.com. And as we are both the fathers of daughters, I just want to say that I wish the best of luck to her moving forward. She's got a long road ahead. She's shown she's a fighter. So Paige, we wish you the best.
For sure. And
he's gonna lose it. He's gonna lose it.
Yeah, you're right. It's close to home, but
I know Steve's a Penfield parent. His daughter does go to Penfield, and obviously we wish him the best. It's been a great first show. Not without its hiccups. We will iron out the problems. We appreciate everyone coming on our specialties Skype hotline because it's a new thing. And all you coaches and athletes out there, we want to show your faces. We want to show your accomplishments right here on YouTube Live so we can see you instead of just hear you. And we'll be communicating how to do that via Skype. Which is a new thing for me and a new thing for you, but it's not as tough as it sounds. I tell you, I was pretty amazed how easy Skype was. So my apologies to Taj Jackson from Brighton. I already told a young man in a text message, you guys get a Section 5 title. I guarantee we're going to have you back on. Maybe we'll even have you in studio. So for Steve Bradley and our producer, Joe Brott.
Great job, Joe. Thank you, Joe.
Awesome job, Joe. Classy Wolf Productions. Thanks for watching us right here on Rock Sports Now. It's the Connors and Ferris High School Sports Show. Back again next Saturday at 10 a.m. We'll see you right here.